Live Talk 99.5. One of our key sponsors over the years and greatest relationships is with Reggie and John and the whole team at Lonnie's Furniture Company. It's just been wonderful over the years. I love it when y'all send me pictures of your loot. I just had an opportunity to, let me just say, I was presented with a deal on some furniture, some new furniture from somebody that found a discount. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, I can get it better at Lonnie's. Probably more selection too. There are lots of deals out there, but I'm telling you, once you've shopped there and understand all the choices and work with the kind people that work there and get that right balance of helpfulness, but leave you aloneness, which I kind of need sometimes when I'm trying to make a decision like that. They want you to take your time. If you got a Saturday to burn, this Saturday's all rainy, so you might as well drive up there and put the time in to sit on that couch for a minute and think about it and move to the other sections of the store. It's an acre under one roof and really, really impressive place. We'll be doing a show there at the end of next month, so we hope y'all come by and see us then. But in the meantime, and that, of course, is ahead of the big Labor Day stuff that'll be coming up, Reggie has told us they're extending the best finance offer they've ever had at Lonnie. It's a pretty good deal. It's 48 months of financing, interest-free, if you make your payments on time. There are a lot of programs like that. As long as you pay the payment when you say you will, you won't get any interest tacked on. You got to have approved credit, and there's a minimum purchase. I think of like right around $2,000, which is mostly if you're buying a nice couch, you're already there. Take advantage of that. 48 months interest free. Get loaded up and do all your things and get ready for the holidays. I'm so excited about the holidays this year. I saw somewhere. There are all these sports memes that pop up all day, and it's like 39 days to football season, and the cooler air and the holidays and all the beautiful. I think it's the best time of the year here in the state of Alabama, but it's on the way. So do the work now and have that all off your back so you can enjoy those nicer days with pleasant temperatures and enjoy your home again by sprucing it up with Lonnie's Furniture Company, L-A-U-N-A-U-S, Lonnie's Furniture Company.com. Man, how you doing in there, AJ?
Man, I'm too blessed to be depressed, brother. I cannot complain.
I'm still getting Stallions feedback, and it's just things being posted and people kind of reacting to the story. I didn't know this, and I assume this is correct. I mean, you have to assume you can check it out with people online, but they said the Stallions were using Protective Stadium for free.
Really?
And I could see why the BJCC would do that. You let them play there free. And then you're going to make money off the other things.
Yeah.
You're going to make money, probably a cut of the tickets. In other words, they weren't charging the team, and the team they just didn't have a deal like that. That seemed to be workable. So if it wasn't their cost here in Birmingham, I've seen some estimates that around 16,000 fans would go to the games. But they're saying that the stadium was too big, and even though you can gather up that many people to support your team, it feels like there's nobody there in a stadium that size.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I hate that they're leaving. I mean, I understand business. It's you got to try to find a way to make it profitable. If that's the case, I know that you're probably doing a lot of restructuring because the NFL has such a strong hold on the game of football. When it comes with contracts with television, TV rights, and even some plays or even. How they do certain things. I think, the NFL has so many different, opportunities. And I always wondered, you got, baseball. They got Division A, Double A, Triple A. Soccer also has, minor league. But football doesn't have that. I always wondered why, football.
I mean, minor league teams?
Yeah, like a minor league team.
I think the college system is the biggest feeder, of course.
True.
But now with the NIL, some of these kids can make more money staying.
Well, that's
they can make more money staying in college than trying to go through the NFL draft.
Ah, man, I'm 40 years old and I'm going for my fifth degree.
And still can't spell. Couldn't spell cat if you gave him the C and the T. But I'm a college student. It's just the hypocrisy of the sport itself. Man, a lot going on with that, too. We've got congressional action on the NIL stuff that seems to be going nowhere. Nothing's happening in Congress because they're lazy. Back to this Spanish immigration crisis, because again, look, we're not in Spain, but this affects the world. This affects us in a way. When you see how aggressive the bum rush has been, So we got video coming across now saying that there are people in the town. This little town is called Ceuta. It's spelled Ceuta, and you've got people that are natives of that town, Spanish people, out in the streets fighting with these people that crossed over from Morocco because the violence has already kicked up because it was just so fierce. Um, the estimates of how many have come across is just all over the place. I saw one today that was 80,000. I saw one a little while ago that was like 5,000. It looks like way more than 5,000 from the videos. The city itself only has 83,000 people in it. So I'm trying to think of a comparative city around here. What would that be? Like Tuscaloosa, maybe? I don't know. T-Town's got a little more people than that, but it's a decent sized town for southern Spain, but not big enough to handle this bum rush of people. So they've called the military out. The president, this goofball president they have, continues to insist that the border is completely secure. Who does that sound like? Anybody? Anybody? Do they have a border czar, you think? They should call Kamala. She was such an expert. Italy's prime minister has had to jump in and weigh in on it, and she's calling for new restrictions on their border as well because they're afraid they're next. And I will tell you, prior to this, there started to be the way they get to the United Kingdom is on these boats. We talk about the border, they talk about boats. And when you see a sign anywhere around the United Kingdom, you'll see a sign that says "Stop the boats." Where they're talking about these little lifeboat things that just masses of these immigrants will pile in with no provisions. They can't swim, just risking their lives, and off they go. And sometimes they get intercepted, sometimes they don't. So a new wave of boats was starting to hit the shores of the United Kingdom this week. And then here comes this bum rush of Spain. Highly organized, y'all. Highly organized. There's too much consistency with the demographic of the people, the age of those males. They're all men. They're all young men. There's a purpose behind it. This is not natural. And these countries are foolish right now, and I bet you they just absorb it. Thomas is over in North Georgia. Let's go back to the phones. What's up, Thomas?
Oh, I was calling about the Stallions. I'm a biggest fan of Boomer because I had season tickets living in North Georgia, but
Good
I made
Lord.
sure I went to all the games.
Yeah.
But he hit on it really well about what happened. And like I said, the USFL, when it revised, ended up merging with the XFL,
Mm-hmm.
and they've kind of like tried to kill a USFL off. So Birmingham and Houston were the last two USFL teams. So now they have ridded the UFL of the former USFL.
Why couldn't they just absorb them into the new league and just keep those two franchises if they've done well?
I don't know. And it's like when Andrew was going over at his show talking about the attendance and all, said that Birmingham had, I think, 5th in the league for attendance.
Yep.
And at the start, they kept saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's a TV market. As long as we get people on TV, that's where it's going to work." And I wish more people from Birmingham or Alabama or wherever had filled Protective up, but it didn't happen. But you had a very loyal fan base, and it's been talked about for a couple of years now that they were going to pull out of Birmingham because the Riapo, apparently, from what I've heard, don't like Birmingham. Apparently doesn't like USFL.
That's an owner guy or somebody. I don't know these personalities.
Yes, yeah, he is one of the main owners in the UFL, and I'd heard that from the get-go that he wanted Birmingham gone, and I kind of dismissed it. But again, look at it now; they're gone, and I don't know. So hopefully, I'll get my money back soon because I've already bought tickets for next season.
Well, it comes down to that thing we call the golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules. So.
That's true.
That's what
and
happened.
We'll see. I mean, like I say, that state, Alabama, is just a college state, and I don't know if anything else will change. But a lot of it's the attitude of the fans, which is I've tried to tell people like, well, I'm an Alabama fan, I'm an Auburn fan. It's a spring league. You can come together and be fans together for your team here in the state, but it's like they looked at it as a competition between the colleges that it's not. It's not even the same time frame.
Those hardcore fans, they're too busy online chasing down some 16-year-old kid and what he ate for lunch so they can get him recruited to their school. There's an off
Exactly.
season that's so obsessive with some of these deep fans that get all into this stuff that they're just not going to distract themselves with another team. They're just going to focus on their team in the off season like they do the regular season, and it's all year long here in Alabama for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So, oh well, it is what it is, and
Sure
I
is.
went through the first loss of the USFL back in the '84, so now I went through the one in '26.
Yep. I was just looking up, Thomas. I was looking up some of the teams because I keep forgetting all of them. Wasn't Herschel Walker was involved with one of our teams at one point? It seems like I
Yes,
have
he
this vague
went,
memory that first big league that tried it here.
Right.
So we
that
had
was the USFL.
So we had
it
the-
started in '82.
we had the
And Herschel
Barracudas.
Walker.
Remember
Yeah,
them?
Herschel Walker was drafted into the New Jersey Generals.
That's exactly what it was. I remember that now. Yeah. So we've had the Birmingham Fire. That was the World League of American Football. We had the
Yep.
Birmingham Barracudas. I was around for that. I remember that. It was a
Canadian.
CFL team. We had the Thunderbolts. That was an XFL team. And look, the XFL, they changed some stuff about football. Those overhead cameras that we watch in every game now that fly around on wires right over the quarterback and you can see the play develop. That came out of the XFL. That's where that started. And Trump had something to do with that, didn't he? Wasn't he a part owner
Well,
of
he
the
had something
XFL?
to do. No, it was the USFL.
USFL.
Of the
USFL.
'82.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he was one of the owners, and where they lost it was he wanted to go head to head with the NFL and move to the fall schedule.
Mhm.
And there was a monopoly. This is before the days of the internet and streaming. He did an antitrust suit against the major
That's
network.
right.
To
That's
carry,
right.
Because he wanted to have an
And-
NFL team, but they didn't want him, so he
Right.
did the whole
So
USFL.
he got
And
the
that's
league
how
going.
Herschel Walker
Mhm.
got involved.
And that's why they're so close
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
day. And that's why he's
And
a
on
big
the,
Walker fan. Who ought to
the
be in the Senate right
USFL
now, by the way.
Yeah, on the USFL, and one that they won the lawsuit, and they awarded $1.
Oh, yeah, I do
So that
remember.
sort of-
That's good memory. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, how about that?
So that killed it.
Good Lord. Well, it's a good call, Thomas. I appreciate your fandom
All right,
and y'all
great.
filling me in.
Yeah.
And I'm as guilty as anybody else. I didn't go to any of the games, but I just can't get fired up. I don't even go to see my own college team anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
My
kinda burned
schedule. I just got a busy schedule.
You got little kids. You ain't got time for
Yeah.
anything.
And plus, I
You're-
work on the weekend too, because people sometimes weekend shows happen, so I got to be up here.
You're in the black hole, though. I was in it for like 6 straight years where I didn't do. I've told you this before. There were movies that I completely missed in the 90s because I had a little kid. I didn't have time. Now you can see everything all the time, but you'll miss a lot of stuff in your life right now. But you won't miss the time with your kids, so you stay with them. And hell with football.
Yeah, I'm enjoying every moment with it.
You dang right. We had the Birmingham Iron. I don't even remember that one. That was about 2019. It was the Alliance of American Football and Lawnmower Repair. I'm just kidding. I don't know what the league. And they played at Legion Field under Coach Tim Lewis.
That was a very short. I don't even think they
remember
finished the season.
And then we had, of course, the USFL with the Stallions. It was also the UFL. And I remember, seems like there was another big team before that.
The Still Dogs.
That guess it was arena, right?
Mhm.
That was indoor. What happened to them? Where did they go? Was that Art, whatever his name is, that also had the Birmingham Bulls, I think?
You know what
What
they need to do is have the Birmingham Bears, since we got a bear in the city.
100%.
Yeah, we need to
Chicago doesn't
capitalize
want them
on-
anymore. Let's have our
No.
own Bears.
Yeah.
Why can't we go to another city and steal their team? Birmingham's going to go down and raid the Pelham High School team and move them. We just look. We're too big for 16,000 people. But we're not big enough to fill a stadium the size of a Protective. And Protective was actually built a little smaller than some of these modern stadiums for that very reason, to create a good view angles and an atmosphere. The times I've been in there, I think it's a fine stadium. It's well built. You can see from all over. Here's the only pro tip I will give you: do not sit in the east stands in the afternoon with the sun going down. I learned that from Monster Jam. Next time AJ, I'm getting tickets on the other side. The sun is right in your eyeballs when it goes down late in the afternoon. If you're on just trust me, look at the map. Don't sit on the east side. You got to be moving on up to the west side. Well, we're moving on up. They have skyboxes, don't they? I think they do. All right, quick break. I know we're just kind of meandering today. I got to get into how did we wind up with Fauci's diary? That's a fascinating story. I heard it today for the first time. And that was the thing that just was the catalyst for everything that happened yesterday. I'll give you some backstory on that. Huey Town Pawn, my man Tommy, he's got the Glocks back. Let's talk. These are the law enforcement Glocks, the LE Glocks we call them. They've come off rotation from various law enforcement agencies. You think of the millions of guns that are distributed to law enforcement all over this country, and there are these programs for when those guns have spent their time in service. I guess Glock's got to deal with these agencies. They'll rotate those out and bring in a new set of guns for these officers. Some of these guns have never been used. They've never been fired, but they maybe except on a training range. But they're issued. And if I'm remembering correctly, the first time Tommy did this, there were some that never got issued. In other words, they were part of the allotment. They're in the gun room or whatever, and they're in the box. They never got handed out, and then they rotated out with the other guns. So you would have gotten yourself a really good deal on one of those. So reach out to Huey Town Pawn, get on over there. They're $3.99 while they last because it's a small allotment. And when they're gone, Tommy will come up with some other cool deal, and we'll tell you about that one too. It's Huey Town Pawn there on Brook Lane Drive. Check out everything else they got. And it's not too late in the year, not too early, I guess, in the season to consider your hunting rig. They've got hunting stuff too. Check them out at Huey Town Pawn, Brook Lane Drive. Back in a minute. All right, y'all, 326. Alabama Gold Refinery next up here on the show. Good time to be looking into gold this time of the year. If you want it with some extra cash or wealth, or you sell something and you want to convert that to something that'll keep gold. It's always been that way, all the way through all of human history. Steve can trace that back for you and give you some examples, and it makes sense. He doesn't have to give a sales pitch when you come to gold, Alabama Gold Refinery, because gold is gold, and people that understand stored value understand it. Same thing with silver and platinum. You're smart to own some, even a little bit as you get going. If you got stuff for sale, they also buy your things. If you got old pieces you're just not wearing anymore, great value right now per ounce of the weight value at AGR. They're just a secure shop, an honest shop, a really nice shop, fun place to visit. Go see them over in Homewood. They're right across from the Regions Bank, the big tall building on 29th. Alabama Gold Refinery, AGR, alabamagoldrefinery.com. Here's Phil on a cell phone, more Stallions calls. What's up, Phil?
Well, Leland, the Birmingham Americans was the World Football League, and they won the championship that year.
I barely remember that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they were World Football League, so
Yep.
I think they were around maybe 2 or 3 years. So, but it was a good time, and they was a good team. So
I will say Birmingham does a decent job. There have been some of these teams that just didn't get the support, but for the most part, you can find enough of a fan base to get some enthusiasm going, and we never give it long enough to have those moments where you've got something that happens that makes fans tune in. Kind of like this WNBA thing. Nobody's watching those Hags until suddenly there are these rivalries and this new thing going on, and it's helping the league to get all this attention. So maybe something like that happens, or an ex-football player comes down here to play. And just like when Michael Jordan came down to play baseball with the Barons, I was there in his next to last game, just went over to cover it. There were 20,000 people in the Met standing on the grass out in the parking lot just to see him get up to bat, because he brought that all that attention with him. You know what I mean?
yes, sir. But they had a good crowd back in those days too. So it was a good time to go out there and watch good football.
Yep.
A lot of SEC players played for Birmingham at that time too. So it was a good time. So thanks for your call.
You got it, Phil. I remember it's hard to guess Birmingham. If you ever put on an event here in this city, people will say Birmingham's a walk-up town. What that means is Birmingham people will just wait to the last minute to get their tickets in concerts, some sporting events. And I have swung and missed a couple times thinking whether people will go. One of them was that they decided to do beach volleyball out at the Hoover Met. Beach volleyball at the Hoover Met. And I thought, who's going to sit? It was in July. I said, who's going to sit out there in the hot ass sun in July at the Hoover Met and watch freaking volleyball? When I heard about it, I didn't know they wore bikinis. You couldn't get another dude in that place. When they had it, they were all kind of old pervs just sitting around sweating. I need some water. But they all went out there to watch the volleyball. I'm just saying. I underestimated that portion of. They don't do that anymore, I don't think. Hey, they do have a pro bull rodeo event coming up, and I think we got somebody coming on the show this week, maybe tomorrow, to promote that. So I'll be telling y'all about that too. PBR, not, as if I didn't get enough rodeo when I was out west, but that's great. It's an actually sanctioned event at the Met. That's fun. Oh, and by the way, we're supposed to find out today the plan for what they're going to do with the Oak Mountain Amphitheater. I'll check into that too, see if we get any news from that report this afternoon as well. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Y'all hang on. It's 3:35. Leland Live talking in 5 Southern Skies Dermatology bringing you the show this hour. What a good place to put on your list of things to do with your health. We got a lot of advice here on the show about how to keep your home healthy, but how to keep yourself healthy. And when it comes to skin cancer, some of y'all, I get it. Some of y'all are tuning me out right now. You're driving down the road looking for the bear on 280. You're not even listening because most people just assume the default. There's something called a normalcy bias that we all do it, that things are just normal and it'll always be this way. Suddenly it can change if you get some bad news or a spot appears and you don't know where that came from. No need to be nervous. Just go to Southern Skies. You'll be surprised how many times people do come in there all alarmed and it's nothing, and that's good news. But the other case scenario is that you have something that you can't see or you've ignored, but it's dangerous. It's melanoma or one of the other carcinomas that should not be in your life, and you need to get that removed, and they can do that for you at Southern Skies because it's all they do. It is all they do. They are 100% focused on finding and removing skin cancer. So go see Dr. Mario, get the all clear, or get the diagnosis that they found something, but it's going to be okay. Aren't those comforting words? They tell people that all the time. It's southernskiesdermatology.com, southernskiesdermatology.com. All right, let me switch back over to Fauci. I didn't want to over Fauci y'all yesterday, but we did quite a bit of it. But the repercussions of that little moment are continuing today, and we've got a few developments, one of which was the diary itself. Now, ahead of this hearing, it's pretty good timing. If I were stagecrafting a hit, is exactly how I'd do it. You drop the evidence and get it stirring up interest in the Senate hearing, which widely, I think, would have been ignored yesterday, even though it's Fauci. But Fauci, that little twat got back in the news in a big way days before, so he's already on the defensive. And we've got this quandary over, does he have a Fifth Amendment privilege or no, based on the pardon? Was it a legit pardon? My theory right now is that they could not let him answer anything yesterday because they don't think the pardon's legit. If that pardon protection ever comes off, even if he decided to be honest for once in his life and tell the truth and fess up and apologize to the country and resurrect himself, which, by the way, would have put him in conflict with things he's previously testified to, because the diary exposed all that, exposed all of his, everything he was saying out loud publicly, he did not personally believe, and he wrote it down. Now, here's the arrogant. This is where I've told y'all for years, one of the deadliest combinations with public officials, whether they're bureaucratic or elected, is when you've got this heightened combination of arrogance and ignorance, okay? So now, Fauci's not an ignorant man. He's, by some accounts, one of a very brilliant scientist from back in the day, but the power got a hold of him. Y'all know the phrase, power corrupts absolutely. This man was in charge of a massive federal budget, and he wielded that power over people and could get things he wanted. And then he got a taste of the limelight. He got absorbed in himself like a 16-year-old girl on TikTok. And in doing so, here was his Achilles heel. The diary, when I think of a diary, I'm thinking of Jan Brady or whatever. Wasn't there an episode where the mom sent Jan Brady's diary off to the Goodwill and she was panicked? Because she'd written about boys in there, something like that. Because, girls tend to do that more than others. But I think of a diary as like a written, like a blank book. I've given my sons journals. Now we call them journals, because some of my sons love to take notes with their Bible study. And so I've given them these leather journals, just blank pages, and you write your thoughts in there, right? And so a lot of people do that. That's a good exercise. So I thought somehow, how did they get a copy of this diary? I was just ignorant about the story when it came out. Turned out it wasn't that at all. You know what Fauci did? This is just poetic. He started keeping notes about himself because he was so arrogant. He knew that he'd be viewed, I guess, when he was getting ready for his Nobel Prize speech or when he was going to write his memoir and make millions of dollars. He decided to document his thoughts as he went along in his tenure at NIH. Here's a guy who, one, was so self-absorbed he thought he was that important to write about himself, and two, he didn't think who's going to catch him. The media's not going to ask him any questions. Jake Tapper was just at his house last night. They're bosom buddies now. And it goes on and on. So in his arrogance that he would never be scrutinized, he pulled the Hillary in some ways, and he used his government computer to take his notes and to write things down. That's not the end of it. He decided to send a copy either to himself offsite, or he transmitted the entire damn thing, the whole diary. Dear diary, had a mocha coffee this morning, feeling great. Might go get my hair done. I don't know. What was that meme that was going around for a while? It was like, feeling sassy. Might go to the mall today. I don't know. IDK.
Well, they probably should have just framed it as a manifesto.
Now that we know what happened to him, I love that, AJ. We should call it the Fauci manifesto.
Yep.
We also need to know his middle name, because like with all mass killers, we know they're all three names. Except for Ted Bundy. Somehow we left out his middle name. What's his middle name? All these serial killers, we always knew him as William Henry Hance. Anyway, so Fauci transmitted a copy of the diary to himself using federal computers and servers, and that's how they found it. Once you transmit anything on the internet, little word to the wise, when you put something through, it leaves a copy of itself all over the place during its transmission. A digital transmission is not like a piece of mail that you put a stamp on. That actual physical piece is the only copy of it, and it goes through the system, ends up on the other end. The digital thing just kind of replicates through all of the place. Think about it. Somebody sends you an email, you got a copy of it, and they've got a copy of it in their sent box. There are probably copies of it on other servers along the way. So Fauci did that, and that's how the feds caught him. It was like at the beginning of Doge when they tried to run some people in there, start deleting things. They didn't know how to delete things, and they left traces of everything. And the Elon Musk people, he brought big balls in. They caught him dead cold. So this is how we have Fauci's diary. And rather than get into a technical explanation, I'll just say this. His arrogance and sense of insulation that he was untouchable is what really did him in. Because without the diary, we don't have this confirmed, confessed validation of what we always believed, that he was lying to us the whole time. And he clearly was. Todd is on a cell phone. What's up, Todd?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Well, I wanted to call in because I haven't heard anybody say anything about the commonality between Fauci and Rand Paul. Rand Paul, I'm glad he's doing what he's doing, but anything he does, he seems to do it to seek the limelight.
Oh, they all do, yeah, for sure.
Whatever it is, it's never anything that seems to be an 80-20 issue. I sent him an email telling him that I wished he would step up to the plate and follow Trump's agenda and try and get some the SAVE Act passed or any other 80-20 issues that we might have on the table. But I also told him that I thought that it was pure hypocrisy that he had so much in common with Fauci, in my opinion. They both, I think, have big heads, and they look out for themselves and step out.
Well, there's no doubt about that. Let me just add to that. If you know, did you follow Rand Paul's father very much, Ron Paul?
I have not.
So Ron preceded him in the United States Congress, and wasn't Ron Paul out of Texas? I want to say he was not from Kentucky like Rand, but Ron Paul, he's sort of late one of the godfathers of the libertarian movement, and I kind of learned to respect his father's general philosophy, and I mean little L libertarian, where it's a leave me alone philosophy, small government, the things Republicans claim they're for. Because Ron Paul, for his entire life, has wanted to audit the Fed, get rid of the Fed. He's been after the Fed. Similar to Rand, he's dug in on this Fed issue. And even though he's older than Fauci by now, he's still at it. I mean, you'll still hear him pop up. But Rand, to me, is cut from that same cloth, where he's more of an ideologue than a practical get it done. In other words, I've heard somebody say this in the past. When you need a street fighter with a knife to help you win, Rand Paul is a philosopher. He's over in the alley quoting you philosophical platitudes while you're in a knife fight, and he's that way. So he'll deviate, particularly with Trump, over a lot of issues, including this Iran situation and others. You can respect that that he sticks to his principles, but sometimes when there's a tactical situation going on where you need every vote to do a bigger good, some of these philosophers in the Senate will wear me out smooth. Some of these people that, for example, the people that are defending the filibuster rules right now, that's philosophical. That's based on the old rules and their country club atmosphere in the United States Senate. And it's a threat to the country right now because they won't just do the right thing and do a simple majority. But it's because they're all philosophers up there. Not all of them, but there are 5 or 6 of them that see themselves as Plato and Socrates up there. They're just a bunch of jerk-offs from their state that won because nobody liked the other guy. And that's just all they are.
Agreed.
So the Senate's soft, and Paul can, just like Lindsey Graham. I mean, one minute I can't stand Lindsey Graham. I wanted him to lose his primary. I really did before he died, and he won handily because the state of South Carolina still likes him. But then the next minute, Lindsey Graham fires off in the Kavanaugh hearing and saved that nomination and shamed the Democrats for the ridiculous theater they were putting on. And so he was right in that moment. And I've learned with these politicians to take them for the good things they do and beat them over the head when they do things you don't like, and never think any of them are going to just not let you down, because they will. And even ones I have low expectations of, like Katie Britt, I have 0 expectations from her because she's a creature of that inside system. But lately, every now and then she'll do something, and I'm like, atta girl. I'm not beyond giving her credit when she does the right thing and takes a real stand, not these posy things like they're doing now where they're all going to stay in Washington for August. No, they're not. They're going home. That Senate's not going to be in session, and they know it. So a lot of that's just stagecraft, and it's exhausting.
That's another letter I need to send is to Katie.
Send it. But look, when they do right, it's good to reward them, and sometimes we can help steer their behavior. For example, the only reason we're getting these senators pretending that they want to stay through the recess is because they know they're going to catch hell when they come back to Alabama. And it's from callers like you and shows like this that keep the focus on them, because you got to hold your own. You got to hold your own people in line as best you can.
Right.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, Todd, that was thoughtful. I understand where you come from on that. I don't think that makes them have a lot in common because they all have those kind of egos. Let me just be real. You have to have a certain confidence in yourself and what some would just call an ego to even run. Sometimes even the best people that have enough confidence to do it and feel like they can serve for the right reasons and get into it, it's the system itself that'll spoil them, turn them into something they're not. They start liking the limelight. It's a cushy job. They don't want to give it up. And then they change on us. And they quit fighting because it's too dangerous to fight. You might lose your job. But so they all have you've got to have a certain sense of yourself to do what they do. Hell, you got to have the same kind of brash ego to do this job. You got to be willing to speak your mind and put it out there and be bold about it, whether people agree with you or not. And some politicians have to have a little bit of that just to get on the stage. And so, yes, Paul will do that, but I honestly think it's out of this philosophical disposition that he comes at it. And by the way, if you remember, he is a medical doctor. He's an optometrist or something, but he's got medical training, and sort of because of that background became the point person against Fauci from the beginning because he was the best to articulate the case. And then over time, he just kept digging into it and kept discovering things. And I'm glad he was a pit bull on it. Because there's not another senator that would have single-handedly kept this, just exhaustingly kept this issue in front of us. I can't think of another one that digs in. Cruz used to do that. Cruz used to be a little bit of an ideologue, but then, he would sink his teeth into something and hang on. I guess you would say Lindsey Graham was like that on certain Warhawk issues. I can go through a long list of those that will dig in. Honestly, Jeff Sessions, to his credit, the AG thing did not work out well for him. But as a senator for the state, I watched that man repeatedly shut down attempts at amnesty by the way, Lindsey Graham and John McCain and those. Jeff Sessions said, hell no. And he stood there in the Senate like a lion and single-handedly stopped many attempts to legalize all that stuff, even as it was just building as an issue. So once in a while, when these guys step up that way and have that moment, it can define them for me in a good way, and it can punch through my cynicism about every single one of them. For me, respect for a politician has to be earned. I do not give it away anymore. I can't. I've been burned too many times. You got to earn it. Blakeley's bouquets. Who in your life has earned flowers or just deserves them? You probably can think of somebody right now. Who's the first person you just thought of? Think about it. Send them flowers with Blakeley's. Do something nice. It's so affordable. The arrangements are beautiful and fresh. The flowers I've sent with Blakeley's just last and last. But beyond that is the thought. It's the little card. It's what you had to say to him. It's the surprise that will last for years. It's Blakeley's Bouquets. We all need a personal florist, a go-to. Sometimes things come up, even things where somebody's in the hospital or they've had a death in the family and you need a florist. It's Blakeley's. You put the two names together. They're in Edgewood and Homewood. If you want to go by and just say hey to them, they'd love to see you. But the easiest thing in the world, if you're ordering prearranged things, you can do it right there online so quickly. And then I love the text they send you to let you know everything made it. That's kind of fun to wait on that text. BlakeLeesBouquets.com, BlakeLeesBouquets.com. Well, the market's trying to make a little bit of a comeback today. The Dow up 600, gaining back a good portion of what it lost yesterday. The Nasdaq way up today. I've told y'all over and over, I'll look at the daily market closes and see how it does, just for giggles, just for headlines. But Danny and his team have to have a much more wise view of the markets to be able to do what they do. And what they do is get you on track with your money with their best advice on how to stay steady, Freddy. That means knowing where you've been, knowing where you are, and plotting out where you're heading. It's just called trajectory. And they can look back in time for decades to market trends, look forward in time to the same thing. And there are steady mixes of stocks that are going to ride those high days out. They're going to ride out the low spots. And in the end, your money will be there for you in the long run. Let them explain how they do it. I can just tell you, Danny's a good guy, lifelong friend of mine. We grew up together and graduated high school together. And I love his success. I love the way he's raised those boys. Well, I give Sherry all the credit for that, but still, Danny had something to do with it because they did go into the old man's business. And they're so kind and knowledgeable. And you can listen to them on Saturdays and Sundays here on the station, Understanding Money. It is the Knowles Group, N-O-L-E-S, theknowlesgroup.com, theknowlesgroup.com. One more thing that occurred to me as I'm looking at this continuing coverage that's coming across about the invasion of Spain. The numbers are all over the place. The consequences are everywhere. But the key thing for us to pay attention to is this, and I wonder if this is not part of it. There are 3 or 4 major straits in the world, and you could throw the Suez Canal into that too, where international shipping has choke points. Clearly, we all know about the Strait of Hormuz these days and the bombings and the military stuff. One minute it's open, next minute it's not. It's a choke point. There's another one off the coast of Yemen, which the Iran proxies are also trying to shut down with threats. They had a little bit of success hitting some boats. We've had to bomb there too. It's that strait. Let me pronounce it correctly. Baba Mandeb. Let me say it right. Bab el Mandeb. There it is. I always forget how to pronounce that one. That's that little strait off Yemen. And then there's another one, probably the most famous strait in all the world, the Strait of Gibraltar. And this is where all this is happening today. The wave of humanitarian, let me rephrase that, of humanity coming at Spain, all these fighting age males. By the way, if they're leaving poverty and impoverished situations, why would they leave their wives and girlfriends and mamas and children behind? There are no women in this. There are no children in this. These are all dudes invading a country, most of them shirtless. But here they come. And so it's right there at the Strait of Gibraltar, which could create a security crisis in the areas. They try to get it under control, which would do what? Anybody, class? Create another international shipping choke point. That's going to be part of the storytelling before this situation is brought under control. I'm not so unsure that this isn't part of the organization of it anyway. Just being conspiratorial there for a minute. Top of the hour, Leland Live. Y'all stay tuned.